Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of the Triplet Double podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Hernandez, and with me today, I have a great triplet father out of Wisconsin, the Milwaukee area, correct, Kraig?
Yep. Yeah,
All
correct.
right. Let's give it up for Kraig. Welcome, Kraig.
Hey, Isaiah, thank you so much. Thank you for the podcast, what you're doing. I don't know how you find the time to do it because it's a lot. Like we know,
Yeah,
having big families and a lot of kids. So, thanks
right.
for doing this. I know a lot of the other dads that you've had on here have said that, just like creating this community and just that you're kind of a sounding board and a voice for all the other dads and multiples or triplet dads and stuff out there. So thanks for what you're doing. I've really enjoyed some of the. I've enjoyed all the episodes, and
It's okay.
listening
You can
to
tell
other
me
dads.
which ones you don't like. I can
No,
take feedback. Yeah.
no, I love any and all triplet dads. There's
That's
no
funny.
negative at all. It's
Yeah, I
been cool to
appreciate
hear
that.
everyone's journeys, and I think that's the powerful part of what you're doing with the Triplet Double podcast is everyone's story is different.
Mhm.
Everyone's got a different experience. There's some similarities, there's some overlap, but that's kind of what I've noticed is your kind of heartbeat for the podcast is like capturing every dad's story and just to remind them that they're not alone. So yeah, my wife and I have 6 kids. We do live in Wisconsin, and our
6 kids.
6 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
I thought I always joke, and my family jokes like I have a lot because I'm at 5. But then when you and I connected, I was like, dude, you got 3, and then you got 3 more. Like, oh my god, I can only imagine. So yeah, continue, please.
yeah. We went from 3 to 6. It was yeah, absolutely wild. Um, we wanted to try for a fourth. We do
Hmm.
have like a history of miscarriage in our life and kind of our fertility journey, if you will.
Yes.
Our first baby we lost on 7 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks. It was a miscarriage, and when that happens, you're like, is this our story? Right? Is this our journey? Are we gonna have to navigate this? And then very very shortly after that miscarriage, our rainbow baby was our firstborn. And now she's 8, right? So that was 8 years ago. So yeah, our first 3 kids. So we were trying for a fourth last year. We did have another miscarriage, and again, that's heavy and that's hard, especially now with the second miscarriage. We have older kids that we have to navigate that conversation with because they were so
Yes.
excited to be big
Yeah.
siblings again, and for our
Hmm.
youngest to be our third born to be a big sibling, so excited, and then to say, okay, this isn't happening, and here's why, and the big questions that come with that, and navigating that mourning and that grief is really hard. And so we had tried again. For that fourth baby, we went into the appointment would have been October 2024, and I'm down in the dumps. Like it's going to be all the bad things. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be an issue. Just very pessimistic about this pregnancy again. And so the ultrasound tech's looking, and I'm not having a good day already. And she stops and she goes, she shouts, in the ultrasound room. She goes, guys. And I'm like, great. What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the baby?
Yeah.
Right? Something's wrong. And she goes, there's 3. And, like every dad who you had on this podcast,
Yes. Yeah.
every triplet
Reactions.
dad of
Yes.
multiples out there, right? You just get hit. And it's just this stomach lurching, like brick wall moment. And then it's like for me, it was like I wasn't even there, right? It was like kind of time stood still, and it was in a kind of a funk or a daze. And my wife starts crying. I had to like go take a walk because I couldn't even like I had to physically start moving. So I'm walking around outside of the ultrasound room. I'm like doing laps in the hallway, and I go
Yeah.
back in, and some nurse gave me a bottle, and everyone's a bottle of water, right? And everybody
Right.
is rushing into the room because they don't ever see triplets that often
Hmm.
in the
Yeah, they don't get to
ultrasound.
see that on the ultrasound and all
So
that.
everyone's
Yeah.
super excited and asking us about our family. And, I was going in thinking, man, this isn't, we just had a miscarriage. This isn't going to be a good outcome. And now there's 3
Yeah.
3 babies. And originally they had thought maybe her body was just kind of, because it was immediately, she didn't even hit a regular cycle. Maybe her body was out of whack and dropped a bunch of eggs, and they all fertilized, because they're natural, they're spontaneous,
They're
babies.
yeah, yeah.
And they're like, no, it was just one hair follicle released one egg, so that means that egg split. So
Wow.
we conceived monochorionic triamniotic triplets. So that's one
AKA identical.
identical boys.
Identical for all
Identical, all 3 boys,
the
identical triplet boys. Yeah, so it's
wow.
monochorionic triamniotic. So that's 1 placenta, 3 sacs, which
And
is,
correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry,
go
that's
ahead.
not the highest risk of
No, that would
triplets,
probably
right?
be mono.
Okay, that's the one where
They're all together on
all in
one
the same set.
placenta. A really weird
Placenta.
analogy is like,
Yeah.
our boys were, like they're all sharing a milkshake with one straw, I think, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a weird
Yeah.
analogy.
Okay.
It's whereas like, I mean, I don't even know. That's a bad analogy. You can cut that. But like, or how about this? It's like our boys had one kitchen. They each had their own room. Whereas mono triplets are all in the kitchen. Like they're all
Yeah.
sharing one kitchen. Like that's
Makes sense.
more risk,
There
right?
we go. That's a good one.
That's a better analogy.
There we go.
So that I think that's
Wow, though.
the higher
Wow.
risk
I mean,
option. So mono tries,
yeah.
like it's a little bit safer. The issue
Yes.
comes, our biggest risks, like you've shared before, and other guys I've talked to. They sit you down in that follow up appointment. Here's all the risks. Here's
When
all the
was that
statistics.
follow-up? When was that follow-up appointment? How soon was it after that first ultrasound
Uh,
where you found out?
about a week later. So we found out about the triplets
Okay.
at week 8 gestation, and then
Okay.
about a week later was our next appointment with our MFM,
Okay.
and that was hard and intimidating, and very fear and data driven.
Yes,
And
yes. As we've shared before, and and I'm sure everyone listening who's also experienced that, I think you hear those risks at different times, like depending on who you're talking to, like with your doctors and who's how the appointments go. I think it's all gonna be a little different, but yeah, I mean, you get hit, you get that shock of the ultrasound triplets. Then, once that settles down, you get the excitement because again, you're like, there's 3, and like you start to think about all these different scenarios and outcomes of like, what they'll be like and how they'll be, and and then of course the stress part of it, right? Because it's always going to be part of being a parent a little bit. But then you get hit with the harder conversation through the doctor, right? Which is just about all the risks and the statistics about a triplet pregnancy. And then you're kind of like, whoa, like, things that we don't really know about, right? That we don't
right,
really, you don't notice
right,
because, again, unless you have triplets already in the family or no triplets, maybe you might be familiar.
right. And I remember it being very difficult. I was extremely stressed out,
Yeah.
because they are just doing their job, and they're giving you the data, and they're giving you
Yes.
the science, and they're giving you
Yes.
the statistics. And so for monotri triplets, our biggest risk was TTTS, which is twin to twin transfusion syndrome. It can happen anywhere from I think they gave us 16 to 24 week window where, because they're sharing a placenta.
They're sharing that kitchen. They're all eating the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
ingredients.
right.
Yep. Yeah.
There can be a transfer of blood and kind of issues
Yeah.
with growth, and one kind of becomes a donor and one becomes a recipient, and can affect the babies. And they're like, you could lose 1, 2, or all 3 babies. There's
Mm-hmm.
a really invasive surgery. There's only, because we're in the Milwaukee area, there's only Chicago or St. Louis does the surgery. And so they have all the different, anatomy scans that they check for regular, every 2 weeks, just to make sure that TTTS is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very intimidating. They said it's a 27% chance that it will happen. And I'm like, okay, that's
Wow.
not super. I mean, that's not super high, but it's also,
It's
1
not
in
like
4 triplet
yeah.
pregnancies. And
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's
right,
27 is not like you can sleep that off.
right,
That's
and
higher than yeah.
it's up. There's nothing that can say it's going to happen or not. It's just statistics, and that's the thing that I can say this now that I'm not in it, right? That we're on the other side of it, and so maybe to
Yes,
help other dads that are navigating
and
statistics,
moms.
numbers, and dads and moms. Yes, thank you. that are navigating the statistics and the numbers and the risks, because you entered a new territory of you're a high risk pregnancy.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it's easy for me to say it on the outside. When you're in the thick of it, it's high anxiety, it's high stress. The data that they're pulling from, was what our doctor shared with us. And then my wife and I continue to remind each other the data that they're pulling from is triplet data, which is already small data to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
It is. Yes.
a normal pregnancy or natural, a singleton pregnancy, there's so much information. There's so much data and so many different studies that they can look at, where multiple pregnancies, like, it's restricted to the number of studies that they have, and it's already rare to
Mm-hmm.
begin with. And so that was kind of a little bit comforting, to realize that about the statistics and the numbers and the medical, side of things. It's like, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? You can't really control it, but you can help accommodate that. You can help, take steps necessary to make sure that it is a successful outcome, the babies are safe, that mom is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, we didn't have that issue. We had a little bit of growth restriction with baby B. Um,
Yeah.
he was like our little one, and we were kind of watching him a lot. We were really nervous because we had like really big fat baby. Baby C was really big, and he was kind of stealing the nutrients from his brother.
Makes sense.
But baby B was always the smallest, and you could even tell when, they
They were doing the
delivered,
ultrasound or
ultrasound,
delivered.
obviously by size, but then
Yeah.
when we had the C-section, my wife made it to 34 weeks. I don't think I had shared that yet, so that's great.
No, that's great.
She
That's
was
ideal.
34 weeks, really, really
Yes.
good. Timing wise, we had the C-section scheduled for 35 weeks, and then she went naturally, which again, what she wanted, her water
Okay.
broke.
That's what I was going to ask. So they
Yeah.
had scheduled it for 35 weeks, and then she had already went into labor
Yeah.
at 34. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's ideal
Right.
time to go in, I would say.
And the MFM doctor and our OBE were like kind of in cahoots together. They were like, let's get her to go as far as she can.
That's good.
So they were
They're
kind
on
of
the same
planning.
page.
Yeah,
Communication was
totally.
clean. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, it was really good. And we, so when they came out, you could tell that baby C had been stealing all of the nutrients and blood flow kind of from the other boys. And again, everybody came out pretty decent
Was it a
size.
was it a big
He was
pound
red, like he
difference?
was bright red,
Oh, okay.
and the other boys were pale.
Oh, okay.
You could tell it's like, okay, he's the
Yeah.
one who's a thief, right?
Yeah.
And now he is still big. He's still the
He's
biggest
still the
one.
biggest one.
Yeah, he's chunky for sure. But so anyway, that's a little bit of the pregnancy journey. Is constantly just making sure she hit her protein goals. She had to eat so much protein.
Yes.
And then as she grows, which she's growing at an abnormal rate because she's got 3 babies in there, so she's huge. By December, she was pretty big, and she was only a
Mhm.
few months in. And so getting through the different waves and the different trimesters and kind of overcoming the different milestones and the risks, like the twin to twin transfusion thing, that the risk went down every week. We got through that, and so we got to like week 24, and there was no like celebration or balloons or anything.
Yeah.
That was like the thing
Right.
that we had been praying about. Like, we got to just get through this biggest risk and get to
Yes.
basically get to viability, which is 24 weeks. After 24 weeks, they can kind of work with you. 28 weeks is an even a greater milestone, is what we were
Mhm.
told. Like, if you get to 28 weeks, like, you're good, you're golden. And so it was just like week after week after week, and it was a very long pregnancy for my wife. And it's all about making her comfortable, making sure she's cared for, making sure she's
Mhm.
fed, because there's a lot of protein to feed those boys.
Yes.
It's
I can imagine. I mean, obviously, I can imagine because we went through it. We went through it. But
Yeah,
yes,
you
I
know it.
think.
You totally know it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
uh,
34 weeks C-section,
34
and
weeks.
they were
How much? Do you remember how much they weighed?
yeah, of course. So baby C, the big boy, he was 4 pounds 13 ounces, and then
Nice.
baby A was 313, and then
Okay.
baby B, the little guy that we were nervous about the whole pregnancy, he was like 3.7, so like
Okay.
a full pound and then some, smaller than his
Wow.
brother.
And how was the NICU stay? Was it long or was it short or would you say?
28 days in the NICU, 27 or 28 days.
Oh, very good.
They tell you from the very beginning, you're going to be in the NICU. You need to
Mhm.
prepare for that. You need to plan for
Yeah.
that. It could be any amount of time, just depending on how they're doing, eating, breathing, hitting the different milestones. And so that's another unknown. It's not just like getting through the pregnancy, getting to the delivery, but then it's the NICU. It's another unknown.
Yeah.
So the high risk pregnancies are just filled with unknowns. And I think the biggest thing that my wife and I have learned in this whole process is being able and willing to surrender. And that could be surrendering your control, surrendering your expectations, all the things
Hmm.
that you think you want or need, or the things that you want to do yourself, is just truly surrendering that. That's a big word that we used during this process.
That's very good because I had, like, we're big NICU advocates, right?
Of
Because,
course,
they've
we love
obviously,
the NICU.
you love the NICU. They do an amazing job. And I was just telling my wife about this because I was we were just talking about the NICU, and I was talking about some of the dads I've talked to already. And, the one thing she did tell me was like, like she absolutely loved the NICU and she still talks to the nurses to this day over there at Kaiser. But she was just like, how it's so hard though to not be able to hold the babies right after, like, you give birth. Like, it's such a hard thing. Like, as a mom, like, I was just like, with Logan and Layden, our older kids, of course, with a singleton birth and you do, vaginal, you're able to hold them right away. And because they don't need the NICU and all that. But with the triplets, she didn't get that. And that was true because, like, I didn't get to hold them right away. It took me like a day or two, you know what I mean? And but let alone the mom, like, it's just like like, the surrendering part is just very key. Like, it's such a great word to use because I think that's so accurate because you have to, like, with this type of pregnancy, you have to do that. You have to surrender a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. You don't, if especially if it's spontaneous, like
Yes.
you had no control to begin with. Like you're just,
Hmm.
because your triplets, your girls are spontaneous, right?
Yeah, they're spontaneous. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what you have to do now. This is what you've been given, and you had little to no control of the outcome.
Right.
Of it even happening, and
Yeah.
so that was kind of our process. And my wife and your wife are probably, yeah, are very probably similar and have same parallels of having the singleton experience of, you get your one of your first kids, you're just a single baby, and it's unlikely that mom and baby are going to be separated for weeks to months.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's very.
Unless you're planning to go back to work, and you need to come up with a plan and a system, to say, okay, I have to get this baby, doing bottles and nursing, and I've got to have a pumping system and whatever that is,
Yeah.
like if that's the plan and you have a limited number of weeks for maternity. But then if you're, let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, right? When do you don't really get a break from kids. My wife always says 9 months in, 9 months on, and then 9 months near.
Hmm.
So by the time they're 18 months, they're still like orbiting around you,
Yeah.
constantly. And so I think that's a big part of it, is the triplet pregnancy. You don't get the same experience as with a singleton birth, and that's very hard for moms. And so
It
she
is.
it was very different, her having to be stitched back up from a C-section, and she said, you stay with the boys. Like
Yeah.
you don't leave their side. You're going to go with them to the NICU, and the doctors are going to take them there. And I don't know what happened with you guys and how they got the triplets to the NICU, but like the surgeons, the doctors, neonatologists, they physically carried the babies. They didn't put them in any of
Oh,
the
they carried him.
carts.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I
Yeah.
thought that was like,
Ours
like,
were
hang on.
in.
I was like, wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait, wait.
Yeah.
But I'm like, honestly, these guys, and one of the doctors, like he's been there for like since like the 70s. He's like
Yeah.
so awesome. Like he's like delivered thousands of babies. Was there when the NICU opened, kind of guy. And so yeah, he's like kind of a dinosaur, but he's also a legend.
Yes.
It's like he knows what he's doing. He was walking in between the boys as they were all kind of getting them, hooked up to all their stuff. He was checking on them, and I was like, "What is he doing? What is he doing?" And then anesthesiologist was like, "He does not look worried at all. He's totally fine and calm." And these are the people that, like, physically carried the boys to the NICU. I'm like, okay, I can trust
Yes.
them. It took me a few hours to like get in my head like they're safer in the NICU than they'll probably ever be. Uh,
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
quality of care from the NICU to home changes too, because there's like
Yes.
24/7 monitors and watching and beeping, and there's always a nurse there caring for them. Uh,
Hmm.
and then you bring them home, and it's like, okay, now they're our responsibility. And so that it helped me sleep at night knowing that there's an amazing staff of nurses and doctors that are watching over our kids and all the other babies in the NICU.
Hmm.
There's so much peace, for that. And I think it took me a few hours to get that in my head. The struggle for my wife was, having to leave our other three kids to go to the NICU, and then leaving the boys in the NICU to go to our other three kids. She felt so torn and so split as a mother, because they all need her. And so that's another area of surrender is, your kids, they need you. They need us as parents. How do we split ourselves 6 ways?
Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's well said. Let's talk about that a little further because I do think, surprisingly, there is a bit of like a lot of the triplet parents that we've encountered on our Facebook groups, Reddit, wherever it may be. A lot of them usually like don't have kids beforehand. Like they get their three, and then they're usually done. Like rightfully so, right? I mean, three at once is a lot,
Yeah.
so they're done.
It does seem to
But
be common. I've seen a lot of parents with triplets, little baby triplets, toddler triplets, teenage triplets, and there's no other kids.
there's no other kids. Yeah,
And that
yeah.
makes sense. Like, I
Yes.
would be overwhelmed.
I think our cards would be different too if we all got hit with triplets on the first pregnancy, right? We'd probably be like, okay, I think we got what we need. Like this is the family. Like this is what we're good here. But there's a lot of other parents like me and you who have more than one kid. Then they get hit with the triplets. And I think that's where we can talk a little bit further is that your household grew from three children to six like overnight. You know, as it's good, but of course, like obviously, we always like, of course, no NICU stay right is ideal, but it's really good that we had the NICU because that gave you at least a little bit of a like a buffer to like figure things out and like plan or what I mean to kind of get an idea of like, okay, we have the three at home, now we have three coming here in the next month or so that we need to like be ready for to navigate because that whole household changes completely
Absolutely.
once you add in two or three babies, like it changes completely. So yeah, how was that adjustment?
Yeah. So they had 27 days in the NICU, and they tell you from the very beginning, prepare for a NICU stay, and they're all going to be discharged different days. It's unlikely they'll be discharged
On the same day,
the
yeah.
same day. Our boys were discharged on the same day. So that, it's a blessing, right? But it's
Yes.
also overwhelming, because you
Yeah, you're like, oh,
bring one home and then another home and then another home. You can start to
yeah.
adjust and acclimate where it's like, no,
Yes.
we're all going to all five of us are going to pick up the other three members of our family and take them all
Yes.
home, in one fell swoop. It's very, oh man, it was wild. And so we brought them all on the same day. And, it's just, I mean, if your family size, let's say you're listening and your family size is growing in a way that you did not plan or prepare for, or, like again, with any type of multiple dynamic, it can be twins or triplets or quadruplets or something greater.
Hmm.
Like it's overwhelming, and it takes time to, be able to not just have a plan, but, if you do have older kids, to communicate that things are going to change,
Hmm.
that expectations are going to change, and to teach them slowly, depending on the age of your kids, and to teach them that, there are other little babies that are going to need our care and attention the same way that you had, speaking to your kids. And again, the older the kid, the better they'll be able to understand. I think the difficulty too is what my wife has expressed quite often is that the triplets aren't getting that one-on-one experience that the singletons did, right?
Yes.
Our first three kids did just like with you and with your wife, with your first two kids, they got that undivided attention, right? We're both here to help. And then when another kid comes along, it's still just me and daddy, or me and mommy. And well, the
Hmm.
other parent can be helping with that toddler. And now it's these three babies need us in a really hefty way. And, we're going to have to learn to be patient. And we try to be cautious with our language. Um, to say like, um, not to diminish or to cast any of the children aside, to say I'm going to help, the baby right now or the babies, right? Depending on what the situation is with, I'm going to give all the babies a diaper change, and then I'm going to help you, right? So let them know like what's coming next, right? How we're going to be able to meet their needs. I can't help you right at this minute, but once I
Hmm.
get them all their bottles and fed, then we can do that thing together. And to never make it seem like it's a burden or like a negative thing that I have to help the babies, because I don't want any negative kind of relationships to happen of like, oh, my parents haven't been the same since the babies are home. And it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
The older kids, like our 8-year-old daughter, it's like, oh, you guys always have a baby in your arms. And I'm like, yep, that's the season right now. But this was you 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and you had mom and dad in a way that the triplets didn't have, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And eventually, they're going to sleep and you're going to get to stay up later than they are because you're 8 years older than they are. And you're going to have things that they don't have access to or get to do. And that gets her excited, right?
That's good.
Because she gets to do things that they don't get to have. And and truly, the older children are, they said it from the very beginning when we were trying to, so our dynamic is, I'm not sure if I had said this already, 8, 6, 4, and then 3 6-month-old triplet boys. So one girl and 5 boys. And as we are
Oh,
talking,
wow.
yeah, as we are talking through and coaching the older 3 of like what's going to happen. There's 3 babies,
Yes.
and this is not normal. Mom usually has babies one at a time.
Hmm.
This is just how this happened. It's a blessing and it's a good thing. Things are going to change and it's going to be good. And the kids immediately just kind of grabbed onto the language of, well, there's 3 of us and there's one baby for each of us. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Like that was what their minds, connected with.
That's
Like
funny.
a
That's
baby for
good.
each of us. And that's
Yeah.
a beautiful way to put it. And they are amazing. They're helpful, especially our oldest daughter, or our only daughter. She is just another little mom. And she wants to be around the babies, and the babies are, they're already in that stage of recognizing who people are and faces, and so like they are the happiest boys because of their older siblings. These baby triplets are just in love
That's cool.
with their older siblings, and it's a really sweet connection and a really sweet bond. So it's just teaching the younger, the 4 and 6-year-old to be a little bit gentle, um,
Yeah.
because that's a dynamic. But yeah, things do change. But it's that's life. Life changes and it comes in waves and it comes in seasons. It's just being able to, we have a banner or poster in our living room that says these are the days, right? It's this cute curated looking thing, but truly the message behind it is, as we age and progress and get through different ages and stages, we're going to look back and go, man, I wish we were in that moment again. I wish we had a baby again. I wish we were, teaching him how to do this thing again. I wish we were making blanket forts again and having movie nights again.
Yes.
As you kind of wish for the good old days. I'm a huge Office fan. The TV show The Office. Biggest
Yeah. So
Office
you're gonna
fan.
go to don't tell me you're gonna throw in the Andy quote that he
Yeah, of
says at the
course.
end.
That's like
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
famous line is like, "Don't you wish?
Yes.
I wish you knew that you were in the good old days before you actually left them."
Yes.
And that's why we have that banner there. And it's annoying to remind each other of it in the moment. We're covered in spit up and we haven't slept at all, and everybody
Yes.
needs something from
Stressful.
you. And to remind
Yeah.
each other, well, these are the days, these are the days,
Yeah.
is not always that helpful in the moment, but that is the truth of it, is that it comes in seasons. And so it's just going to be a while until we get to the next phase or season.
Yeah. I really like that. I think the just talking about how you guys communicate with the kids, the older kids, and how that all just meshes and you know is helping the dynamic at the house is just that's great. I think that's well said. I think it's things that I can practice with my own kids because I
Yeah,
mean, let's
and
be
we're
honest,
all
like
kind
when
of learning
yeah,
from each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
we all learn from each other.
your triplets
Yeah,
are older than my triplets, and
yeah,
before we started recording, I'm like, dude, they're 6 months old, and I want them to sleep. Just want them to
yeah,
sleep. You know what I mean? Where like you're in a
right,
different. You've got mobile triplet girls, man.
yes, yeah, yeah. They're mobile and they sleep. Thankfully, they're sleeping. Um, I'll tell you this: they do get it. the sleeping through the night consistently didn't happen until they were like a year. But um, they, what's pretty crazy is that they all share the same room. So they're like, when one cries in the middle of the night, the other two will just sleep through it. Like they're just used
Yeah.
to it.
My
And
wife
it's just
said
like,
that. My wife
it's
said that
awesome.
like there's like data on twins and multiples where like they kind of they kind of zone out or they kind of
Yeah.
put it out of their mind or something. I don't really understand the research. I didn't look at the study, but she's like
Yeah.
they're better at it than you'd expect. Like you'd think they'd wake up and
Yeah, I
truly,
would think that too. Yeah,
yeah,
well, like I used to get paranoid. I'd be like, dude, she's crying. Like we have to
yeah,
go in there. And then my wife's like, no, no, like you got to let them soothe themselves, and they'll
right,
be fine. Like and
yeah,
then that's how it worked. We're like, okay, cool, it
yeah.
worked.
I feel like your wife and my wife would be friends because like she sounds very wise, and I
Hmm.
think my wife is very wise. Like the motherhood intuition is the
Yes,
most real thing. Like
it
they
is.
just get it. They just
Yes.
know. And, there's things that I'm just oblivious to and that, they just pick up on it. And it grows too, like a new mom, right? Versus a mom of 5 or a mom of 6, like it's going
Hmm.
to be very different experience.
It
But
is.
like the motherhood intuition is something that I will never second guess. I'll never doubt. They just
Yeah,
know their babies, and they know
for good reason.
what they need. And yeah, so that she can tell you, yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be able to sleep. I think our struggle was our third did not sleep well at all
Okay.
till he was 3 years old. So
Okay.
he was up
Gotcha.
multiple times in the night for 3 years. And so I think
Wow.
that was just, and then so he just turned, yeah, so he would have turned 3, and then a short while later we got pregnant with the triplets. So we were not well rested, haven't been for years, and so my wife and I would just say that's just God preparing us for the triplets that we weren't getting good sleep because of our third. Like he just didn't want to sleep, didn't want to go down.
Yeah.
We had done everything that you could do
Yeah.
to sleep train. We had friends who were like, here, hire this sleep consultant because in which we didn't do because it's like that's another thing, right? To schedule and plan and pay for. Um,
Yeah.
but like we had tried everything under the sun. Yeah, just shy of hiring somebody to help our child sleep, and finally he 3 years old started sleeping, and then got pregnant with triplets. So
Wow.
we're not that well rested, and that's okay. We'll sleep.
Yeah. That's kind of how we were thought. That's how we were like too, because Um, our older kids slept. They sleep well. My daughter Layden, she still comes into our room even today. As at 3 years old, she still comes to our room and like will always sneak in and sleep with us like the second half of the night, which we're usually too tired to like even notice. And then like you just wake up and you're like, oh, Layden's here. And then um, they've always kind of slept pretty well, like Logan too. But what was good was that the triplets are 19 months old. It was good because we had just like Layden had just gotten, let's see, Layden's 3, she was 2. Yeah, she was 2 years old when they were born. So we were still like kind of getting out of the like sleep, you know what I mean? The deprivation, right? That's how I would say it. We were slowly getting out of that. And then we got back into it. But I guess if there was a time to do it, it would have been then, because I couldn't imagine having them 5 and older, and then I'm like, oh my god, I got 3 newborns now. Like I have to reset and go back into that whole like routine of like not sleeping and restless nights. So that was good. I would say that was probably one of the benefits, if benefits of it, of having triplets at such a close age with the other kids, was that whole
Right.
scenario.
And we, we're grateful. I think our daughter was 7, when they were born. So, a 7-year age gap isn't bad at all.
No.
I have a 9 and 10 year age gap with my older siblings, and we didn't grow super close until adulthood, right?
Okay.
You're starting to do all the things that they're doing, and we're on. My older brother and I are close. So I'm in my 30s and he's in his 40s, and he's got teens, and he's kind of in a different age. He's like he tells me all the time. He's like Kraig, you are in the physically demanding and physically draining stage.
Yes.
I'm in the mentally draining, emotionally draining stage with teenagers. It's a different thing. He's got a kid
Hmm.
driving, right? So that's
Yeah.
another thing that I've never even touched yet, in terms of my kids driving, right? And so we're
Hmm.
ends of the spectrum of parenthood. but we're still in it together. And I think that closeness, came in adulthood. I think 7 year age gap isn't bad at all. I think they'll be able to stay close and remain close. And that's
They'll
what we
grow
want.
up in the
We want
same
to be close
household for a
to family.
while. They'll be in the same household for a while, and that's kind of
Absolutely.
where that bond comes from. If she was like, 10 or 12, then you'll notice that, like, hey, in like 5 years I'll be out of the house, or 6 years I'll be out of the house, and you'll only be 6 years old. Like, we won't be able to have that whole, but seven's still close enough. Talk to me about the house situation. How's the rooms? Where's
Yeah.
everyone at?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you doing this? How are you
So
doing with this?
we live in the Milwaukee area. We had moved in like 21 from like a Cape Cod to tri-level.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved in, we're like, oh, this is perfect. Like, this is like, the boys shared a room. My daughter had her own room, and my wife and I had our room. And so we had 3 bedroom house,
Okay.
tri-level. It was like, this is great.
Yeah.
We were trying for a fourth, and we're like, yeah, the baby can kind of just go anywhere. And if it's a boy, we'll just have 3 boys in one room with bunk beds. And we already had a bunk bed in there for the 2 boys, and Lila had her
Yeah.
own room. If it's a girl, then Lila can share with the baby. Our daughter can share with the baby. And so then we got triplets. And so we're like, now what? So we have like a family room on like the ground level of the house,
Mm-hmm.
that we just kind of converted to like a triplet nursery. So we have a bed down there, and then
Okay.
we've got their beds there. We are just doing pack and plays right now. We were like trying to do different crib setups, but like the mobility of a pack and play is so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And so then eventually we'll be able to, move them up to an upstairs bedroom. Yeah, we have no plan. Like, we don't
Yeah.
know where we're
Well,
gonna go. We
yeah,
might have to forfeit
yeah.
our bedroom, and just use
Yeah.
that downstairs room as another bedroom. But like, we're making it work. It's fine,
Yes.
and it's good. But nobody ever plans or prepares for this, especially when,
No.
And again, the thing I most identify with all the other dads that are on the podcast with you are like the constant comments that people make.
Yeah.
Sometimes, most of the time, good intentioned, well intentioned comments, right?
Yes.
It's just like, and we don't have to go through them all again, because everyone listening has heard all the episodes and all the things that are rattled off. But some of the negative ones are like, oh my goodness, like 3 to 6 kids. Why would they do that? Why would they put themselves in that situation? With the home that they have. And it's like, whoa, hang on. Like,
Have you
this is,
actually heard that?
yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Someone's told you that, or did
Well,
someone like pass that on to you?
pass that on to be like, why would they
Oh,
be in that
really?
spot? Why would they be in that
Wow.
situation of their home and their environment and not having
Yeah.
enough rooms for all the triplets? It's like, hang on, these are spontaneous triplet boys. Like, we
Yes.
were trying for one baby, and we got
Like, you,
3.
you don't plan for this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most of the time you're not planning for this. And, like, you're dealt the cards you're given, right? Like, those are the cards you're dealt with, and you figure it out.
And we have been, that's part of the process is like, it's
Yeah.
one day at a time. During the
Yes.
pregnancy, it was one appointment at a
Mm-hmm.
time, right? During the NICU, it's just one day at a time, right? And now we're at home, and it's like, okay, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and they're
Mm-hmm.
growing and they're doing well. And one thing I haven't mentioned is, like, we have been abundantly blessed by the people in our lives. We have amazing parents. The grandparents are both, in the area, not far away, ready.
And they're involved
My wife is a champion, and she makes 6 kids look easy. I don't know how she does it every day. And so
but the
she has
grandparents are
help.
involved.
What?
The grandparents are involved.
Yeah, they're involved. I think, like, her mom's over like once a week.
Okay.
But my wife is just kind of crushing it. And so,
Yeah,
but
she's holding the fort down most of the
I
time.
don't know how. She's
Wow.
amazing,
Wow.
and she's
That's awesome.
doing really, really well. We do have kind of like um, a family friend. She just graduated. She's taking a gap year, and
Mm-hmm.
she came to us and she said, hey, I've been thinking and praying a lot, and I want to spend my gap year helping you with the triplets and helping you,
Oh, wow. That's
because my wife
awesome.
homeschools as well. So my wife stays at home.
Yeah.
She's a homeschool mom. And so this girl who just graduated and taking the gap year, she is a homeschooler as well. And
Okay.
so she kind of came forward and was like, I really want to help you. We're close family friends, and I want to be around. And so she'll come over like once a week and help with like homeschooling or help with the triplets. And then Kelsey's, my wife's mom, will come over once a week, But other than that, it's, Kelsey, she kind of gets in her rhythm and her system, kind of what she wants her day to look like. But we do have help surrounding us. We do have like an amazing church community. We do have just amazing neighbors in our like immediate neighborhood. And then everybody has just been so kind and so supportive and following along. Like we started a caring bridge because we were overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
started a caring bridge just to give updates and ultrasound pictures and, prayer requests and, hey, this is what's going on. This is the update. This is what's going to happen next week. And so it was good to be able to have just a tight knit community of people that are just kind of supporting us along the way. And so that must be said for our story. Is it? A
That's
lot of people
awesome.
don't have that community. They don't have that
Yeah.
tribe or that network of
Yes. The
people.
village.
Village,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And so we
It's
were
true.
really grateful to have that. We had transitioned to a different church during the pregnancy, and so beginning of this year, we started going to our new church home, and like within weeks, we show up at church, and we knew a lot of the people there. They knew we were kind of checking out churches, and we knew we were going to come there.
Yeah.
Within weeks, that church had somebody in church drew this huge portrait of our big white van with all of us, like it's a kind of cartoon picture, and then covered it with like diapers, saying, the Sorvik family diaper drive or whatever.
Oh, cool.
And they did like a diaper drive for us from like January through or like April through May or something.
You
April
need those diapers, man. You
Dude,
need those.
tell me about it. And
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and it's just a simple way to show that we're seen, that we're loved, that we're cared for, that we're valued. And, we go through so many diapers as triplet families. You know that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the dads on the triplet page documented it. He's like, hey, just so you guys can do your own research, I recorded every diaper change I did so you can plan and prepare, which I'm like, that's really helpful. And he was like, from birth to like potty training, his triplet kids went through 15,000 diapers.
Wow.
So like that was good to know. And then,
Yeah.
people always are like, hey, do you guys need diapers? And we're like, yeah, we need some, or no, we're good for now. Or yeah, they're sizing up from 2 to 3. Like everyone's always really, really kind and generous. And it's a simple way to help somebody is just diapers, right?
It is. It is. It is. It doesn't require too much. I mean, obviously, you need to check in, make sure you get the right size, right? But um, even then, you can always easy exchange. Most likely, I think most companies will let you do that exchange, no problem, for the right size. Let's go into. I like that you talked about the diaper drive, and you mentioned your big white van. I have to know, what car are you guys driving?
Yeah, that's like a question on the triplet families page and the triplet dads page, like every other week.
That
Like, what car
every
are you
other week,
driving?
it's like, what car you guys got? Yeah.
Yeah, so we had minivan. We thought that would be good, and that would be fine. And then we're trying to figure out just like car seat bases and what's the safest option. And so we still have the minivan. We kept the minivan, and we had a Honda Civic, so I sold that.
Okay.
And then we decided to go after Ford Transit. So we have the 15 passenger.
Ooh, you went the Ford Transit.
Yeah, we got the
Okay.
medium
Yeah.
roof because I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'3".
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Nice.
and then I don't know if I shared this with you before, Isaiah, but I was in ministry at a church. I did student ministry for like 14
Okay.
years. And so I drove 15 passenger vans on mission trips all around the country.
Gotcha. You're familiar.
So I
With
spent some
the
time behind them,
vehicles.
thousands and
Yes.
thousands of miles behind the
Yes.
van. And so then now that it's like I have my own youth group in my home
Yeah.
and my own church van in my driveway. It's just like meant to be.
That's funny.
It's
Yes.
very, very funny. Ironic, right? And
Yeah.
so we do
So
have a
Ford
2020 Ford
Transit.
Transit. It's a medium
Okay.
roof, so it's like a little bit more like height. We
So
can stand in
you can
there, move
stand
the
up
kids
in
around.
there. You can stand up in there and all that. Okay. Yeah, we were looking at that too. We looked at the Ford. We looked at the Mercedes Sprinter, and unfortunately, well, dude, they're expensive. I mean, the Ford's probably Ford's obviously going to be more affordable than the Mercedes Sprinter for
Yeah,
brand reasons, but I think they're still. I mean, a Ford Transit's it's not, not cheap cash to get a new one.
right.
So yeah, we were looking at that, but that's awesome. You have it and you enjoy it, right? It's good
Absolutely.
to
Yeah. So it's a
yeah.
15 passenger. I took the back row. It's got 4 seats in the back. I took that row out. So we just have like a diaper caddy in there, changes of clothes for all the kids, first aid kit, medical stuff, emergency stuff. And then we have our wonderful wagon, which is amazing also. That's a big thing with triplet families is Wonderfold wagon. And then we have
You said wagon?
what?
You said a wagon?
Yeah, the Wonderfold.
You, oh, wonderful. Okay, I'm trying to remember which brand we have, but yeah, okay. So how many does it seat?
Yeah, so the Wonderfold seats 4.
Okay.
And then we have a single stroller and a double stroller in there. So that's how much room the Transit has.
Wow, you can fit all that and then
Yeah.
some, huh?
And so
Okay.
then I think I took out like one more seat. So we can technically seat 10. So with all 8 of us in there, we have 2 open spots for grandparents or for traveling with anybody. And, we've taken one trip with the triplets just to northern Wisconsin.
Okay.
And, we could fit everything in the van, all the bags, kids' bikes, stuff like that. So it was good
Okay.
to have
Nice.
that
That's
room.
good. Yeah, I mean the vehicle questions. I mean, obviously, because you got 6, that's a big one. And
Yeah.
well, only 3 car seats though, right? Because the 4-year-old, or is he 4-year-old in a booster?
The all 3 older kids are in like the sit up booster ones with the headrest.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they use this seatbelt strap, so those can move
Gotcha.
around anywhere. They're mobile,
Yes. Yeah.
But then the babies, we like to move. We all other car seat bases are just locked in there, and then we move the babies around just so the
Hmm.
kids can have access to different boys and build connections and attachments in different ways rather than like they're always by one of the triplets or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been a good change, and that way if we can keep it for a long time, as 5 boys and 1 girl grows, the vehicle will be a good size. Should be a good size always.
Oh yeah,
If the boys are as big as
definitely.
I am.
Yeah, no, definitely. So thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that.
What
And I
what
have
vehicle did you guys end up getting? I'm sorry I missed that.
Toyota Sienna. Yeah, the Toyota van.
Do you like it?
Love it. Yeah, I love it. Hybrid. It's great on gas. Um, all the kids can fit. I mean, all my kids are still in like car seat. I mean, Logan's 4, so he's in like he's like doesn't weigh enough to go to like a full booster. You have to hit those weight requirements. Um, so they're all there, and it fits all the 5 car seats fine. And yeah, it's good. It's a good vehicle. I really enjoy it. So I have to know. I think this is good because I think obviously you're an experienced father. And I mean, dude, like hats off to your wife by far. I mean, being able to homeschool and take care of the triplets is
She's
just
she's
it's
amazing.
phenomenal. That's an amazing job. That's just you can't give enough credit to her, right? Like it's just that's a lot, and with minimal help. You know what I mean? Like I think like we're very lucky. Like my mother-in-law and my wife's aunt is here every day to help with like dishes and like help with the kids. Just like things like that. That's Monday through Friday. Then because the kids are starting school and all that. So like I just like again, you guys are like really, and you're still so much in the thick of it. Like 6 months in with the triplets, you are like we mentioned before, the sleep deprivation, all that, like you guys are functioning well. You guys are doing a great job. And I think this is so like reassuring for other parents to hear because I think sometimes, they like will are going through this pregnancy and figuring out like, how are we going to do this? Okay, Kraig and his wife are doing it.
Hey man,
Like, and here, yeah, like they're doing it.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? And we're not all doing perfect.
you're
We're
right,
not all perfect, but
right?
we're doing it. We're
Exactly. And we
taking
have
care of our
hard
kids.
days. Like I think
Yeah.
truly when we brought the boys home the month of May, I was the worst version of myself that I've ever been. I
Mhm.
was not fully prepared for what the demands of 3 newborns fresh out of the NICU preemies
Yes.
would need. And we
Yes.
didn't sleep at all and we're kind of at each other's throats and we'd have to kind of reconcile, a few hours later and be like, "Hey, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry." And it's truly like sleep deprivation, it's exhaustion, it's hunger. You and I
Hmm.
have talked before, in kind of prepping for this and having conversations prior, is like you don't get to do the things that you normally do, right? Not
Right.
just
That's all
for
gone.
being
It's
a
all out the
parent in
window. Yep.
general, right? It's
Yeah.
all being a parent in general is all about sacrifice. But then when it comes to like the triplets, it's like you don't get to go to the bathroom when you want, you don't get to eat when you want. You get a notification or a text message and you're like your arms are full, so you can't respond to a phone call or somebody texting you in the way that you want. Oh, I wanted to look that thing up or I wanted to go do that thing. I think one of the most heartbreaking moments I had was when I was on paternity leave, I'm home with the babies and my wife. I see my with who was originally my youngest, my 4-year-old, outside, the chain had fallen off his bike, right? And
Hmm.
he's in the driveway and he's just bawling because his chain fell off his bike and he needed me to go put it on there. I've got 2 crying babies and I
Yeah.
felt so torn of like, I can't go fix that right now the way I used to be able to drop what I was doing and help him because I have other little babies that need my care and my attention right now. It was
Hmm.
really very, very difficult to kind of grapple with that reality of, and for the kids and then for us as parents to be like, okay, we can't have our needs met exactly when we need them. Safety in emergencies, obviously we can respond and, I'm going to put babies down, but like, um, in that little moment, I was like, man, this is going to be hard. And that month
Yeah.
of May, when we brought them home for the NICU, that was really hard. And it has gotten better. And I think too, like anybody listening, like you had referred to, like people, you're so capable. We're able to do this. It's not impossible, and you can get through it. And we're in the thick of it right now. And I'm sure you and your wife are out of like that. Everyone with triplets says like there's like that fog or that daze that they come out of that they didn't realize they were in. Like
Hmm.
I know that I'm in it right now, and I know I'll feel rested again. Um,
Yeah.
there's some awareness there, but like it is hard, it is heavy, it is difficult, and people look at us and they're like, they come over and they just see like how all these kids everywhere and these triplets and just like the systems that we have in place in our house, they're just overwhelmed at just the sight of it, and we live in it
Hmm.
every day because we have to.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think I'm reminded of another triplet mom who my wife was messaging with during her triplet pregnancy. And I don't know where she lives. Honestly, I forgot her name, but she connected with her on one of the triplet mom pages, moms expecting triplet moms 2025 or something.
Okay.
And my wife said to me, Kraig, listen to this mom. She has a 3-year-old. She has a like 1.5-year-old. She has like a 6-month-old baby and just got pregnant with triplets. Like
Wow.
6 under 4, 6 under 3.
Yeah.
And so because everyone looks at us, like you had just said, like Craig and Kelsey are doing it. I look at her going, how is she doing it?
Yeah.
Like if
That's
I
such,
if I
yeah.
ever complain or about my situation, I think of that mom, right? Who's got 6 kids under 3 or under 4.
Right.
She's doing it too, right? She's totally capable. Or, you see all the influencer parents, they've got like, do you follow that guy who's got 2 kids and then identical quadruplet girls, spontaneous quadruplet girls? They went from 2 to 6. I think they're
Oh, he
called
had quadruplets. Oh my God.
The
No,
Sandhu
I did
crew, I
not.
think is his name on
I have
Instagram.
not seen that. No, I have not seen
2 to 6 quadruplet
that.
girls.
Wow.
Like that.
What'd you say? What'd you say the handle was, or the family name?
Sandhu crew, Sand,
Okay.
Sandhu crew. I think he's somewhere. I know he's a Chiefs fan, so somewhere in the Kansas City area.
Gotcha.
But like
Wow.
in the influencer realm.
Yeah.
And
Wow, dude.
yeah, look him up. Like 2 to 6. That's nuts to me.
Quads. Yeah. That is nuts. That is nuts. Um, yeah, I mean, like I think like it's good to have these communities to hear what people are going through, what they're doing, and like to be able to share, because I think it's just some like I don't think there's enough of that out there, like, and like until you're in it, like then you can start to slowly find it. But even then, it's like, the communities aren't that gigantic, but the ones that there are of, for like parents like us, they're very active, and everyone's very helpful, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Like
I love
everyone's
the
like, yeah.
Right, absolutely. And I love the older parents on there. They're like, "Man, you guys have it made. You got your babies again. Mine are 25 or mine are
Yeah.
34." Like I mean, I love that the older parents are on there. But like, yeah, it is wholesome, to see like the different
It
seasons
is.
and stages. I mean, the first thing I did when we found out we were having mono tribe boys was I searched that triplet dads, triplet families page for mono tri.
Hmm.
And I found my friend Kevin, who was also somewhere in the Midwest. He and his wife are a few months ahead of our boys. So they have mono tri girls. Because I'm like, I need to know like what it's like to have the same exact, not same exact, but similar situation. They had the same risks that our boys had. They were given the
Hmm.
same statistics that we got, and their journey was very different. They had a lot of time in the NICU. They had a lot of breathing. stuff. They had a lot of milestones they had that their girls, mono tri girls, had to
Yeah.
overcome. But like the first thing I did was like connect with another dad, Kevin, to be like, dude, how are you doing this?
Hmm.
Because their girls came very early. I think they were due in like February or January of 2025, and they came in November 24.
Oh, wow.
Very, very
That
early.
is early. Yeah.
But now they're thriving. They're almost a year old, and the wife is always posting stuff, and it's good to see, like, okay, that's where we're gonna be in a few months. And so yeah, it's good to have community. It's good to have other people that have gone through it. That's the point of the journey, is how do you know where you're supposed to go, if you haven't had it plotted and landmarks set before you. So
Right, right. Any last words of advice to any parents out there or anyone going through a triplet pregnancy?
yeah,
Anyone
I mean,
who
regardless if
has
it's
more than three?
yeah, right, yeah, big families. Gosh, well, it's a Jim Gaffigan skit, right? Everyone asks you what it's like to have five kids. Imagine you're drowning and someone hands you a baby, right? Because Jim Gaffigan, the comedian's got so many kids, and truly, like, it's my wife and I say to each other all the time: hard is not the same thing as bad, right? Everyone's like, man, that must be so hard to have that many kids. It must be so hard to do your everyday. It must be so hard to have triplets. But
Yeah.
hard is not the same thing as bad. We're so much more capable than we think. Um,
Hmm.
it's just getting through that hard moment, that hard minute, that hard hour, that hard day, whatever it might be. And sometimes it might be a hard week or a month or a year. But like, we can do hard things, and hard's not the same thing as bad. Truly, children are the greatest blessing. Um, and I do always want to coach that into my children, is that they are a blessing, to each
Hmm.
other, to our family, to mom and dad, to the people around them, watching them. It's one thing. Before we go out in public, we say, hey, remember, children are our blessing. And some days we're going to have really good days, and sometimes we're not going to have good days, and we can try again the next day. Um, but like, truly, children are a blessing, and everybody loves kids, and everybody loves babies. At least most of the people love kids and babies, and you see that when
Yeah.
people's eyes light up at your babies, whether it's a single
Right.
baby or three babies. And so it's not always easy going out in public with a big family, but like, I do tend to reject a lot of the negative stuff that people try to say, of like, oh man, five boys, you guys are in for a nightmare. Oh man,
Hmm.
just wait till they're older and they're eating you out of house and home. Oh man, five boys and one girl. That poor girl. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like all these, again, maybe well intended or just off the cuff comments. And I most of the time I just say, you know what? It's going to be great. We love our children. We're excited to watch them grow. We're excited to do life with them. Like, they are so such amazing kids. And I want my kids to hear me say that. I don't want to
Yeah.
be like, yeah, you're right. That's going to suck. Like, why would I
Yeah.
why would I let my kids hear that? Because that is going to start stepping into their identity.
Yeah, it's
Like, oh
true.
man,
No, it's true. Yeah,
it's I'm a
they'll if they
burden to
hear
my
that
mom and
enough,
dad,
yeah.
or
If
they
they
don't.
hear that enough, it'll stick with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, I guess I have a question for you. Hopefully that's a good kind of
Yeah.
synopsis to take away stuff.
I think the biggest takeaway from that is hard doesn't mean bad.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think that's a good reminder because people will, you usually associate hard being like that sucks. So that's gonna be a tough time. Like it's gonna be a bad time. But yeah, I think that was a great take. That was a
Yeah, they're
great.
not they're
Thank
not
you.
they're not equal. It's
Yeah.
just because something's hard doesn't mean it's bad. Look at every accomplishment that's happened, throughout human history. It was usually probably really, really hard, and it had a good result or a good outcome sometimes. I have a
Hmm.
question for you, just because,
Yeah.
the identical nature of the kids, because your girls are identical.
So we believe two are. I mean, they look. So one had her own apartment, and then the other two shared. Yeah.
Got it. I think,
Yeah.
like, with any dynamic or identical makeup, is like, what are you and your wife doing to try and instill their own unique identity when they look to the side and there's somebody that looks exactly like them? Like, what do you
You
do?
know, yeah, that's a good question. The thing about it though for us is that Samara was born like almost 3 pounds less than her sister because of the severe growth restriction. So there's a big difference in size still, and like Samara's face hasn't fully like filled in as much as, you know what I mean, as like as
So at
Nora.
18 months, you can still physically
You
tell them
can,
apart.
oh yeah, yeah, because she's still like half, like she's not half the size of Nora, but she's small. She is smaller, and you can tell them apart really easily because they're just the size difference alone. But you can see in Samara's face, you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna look just like each other. It's just that she's like a smaller version of Nora. Like they're just like it's like a miniature version almost. So, we haven't had to like, since they're on the move and stuff like that, we haven't really had to face that challenge of like, the whole like the identity thing, and with them like being so like similar, like being identical. Um, because it will come after they're probably like two. I think I read it's like, after like 2.5, they'll catch up. The severe growth restriction will catch up, and she'll be, pretty much toe to toe with Nora as far as like, weight and all that. So it's a good question. I don't know. I don't have that answer yet. But when that does come, I'll make sure to let you know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's another.
You'll face it. You'll definitely face it sooner than me because you got
Yeah,
three of them. Yeah,
I
that
mean, the
are all the
boys,
same.
they do look similar, and like, yeah, think about my wife and my kids. Spend way more time with them than I do because I'm working.
Yeah,
So I come home and I'll mix up a couple, and they'll be like, "Duh, Dad," and I'm like, "Oh
yeah,
yeah," but then and then other people will make fun of me too. I'm like, "Hang on, hang on, hang on. They're with them 24/7. I have less time with them.
yeah,
I should be given a handicap."
yeah.
And but my older three kids, they could you could put the babies in a lineup, and my older kids will be able to tell them apart.
Wow,
It's really cool. It's really really neat, and
that
so
is cool.
we love that, and we love having a big family, and we love having six kids. Never expected to have this many kids, and everyone looks at us like we're crazy, but
Yeah,
we love it, and it's absolutely worth it. So I think that's
that's
another
awesome.
future podcast guest or host is an older triplet dad to speak on identity, right? And like how to figure out, how do I, speak to the unique individual of these kids, because a lot of triplet families have boys and girls that look exactly alike. How do you
Mhm.
coach them through that as they get older? Because that's a thing we're wondering.
Yeah, that's what we need to figure out too, because I'm sure as they're getting older and they go to school and all that, and start making friends, that's probably going to be a lot of the conversation. It's going to be like, what I mean, especially amongst kids. So yeah, we gotta figure that out. I think Steve, who I just had on, he, his identical boys, he was like, they're all so different. Like their personalities are like really, really different. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean that's
So
cool. That's very unique.
yeah,
To have them all so distinct. And that maybe that'll happen with my identical boys, maybe not, but yeah, it's exciting regardless.
well, hats off to you and your wife, Craig. And dude, I appreciate you coming on here and talking with me and just, sharing your insights and your experience and your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And again, my best to you and your wife and your kiddos. You guys are obviously crushing it because you it looks like you are a Renaissance man and you have a lot of gifts and skills and talents, and you're doing it all. So
Thank you,
hats
sir.
off to you and your wife as well. And yeah, us families with a lot of kids, we got to stick together.
We do, and yeah, we gotta stick together. And we're always here. If you guys want to reach out to Craig, let me know. I can put his email in the show notes. And yeah, so that's it. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. Sorry, I will get this on video soon. Maybe Spotify. We'll play around with that. But thank you everyone for listening, for staying on this journey of the podcast. And again, you can follow us on social media: Triplet Double, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. I will share some clips. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. And Craig, thank you.
Isaiah, thank you.